What is the Asus Republic of Gamers GT51CH? The latest addition to the Republic of Gamers range is one of Asus' biggest ever desktop PCs. The GT51CH is a 23 kg monster that mixes high-end components with incredible aesthetics, but it arrives with a bank-busting price of £2,999, and I'm not sure it can justify that figure. Asus Republic of Gamers GT51CH, Design and Build. This computer is a beast. Its front panel is made from a sloping gunmetal material, with a bright ROG logo positioned between two illuminated slashes. That's an impressive start, but the front is dominated by a circular addition at the bottom of the panel. It's a recessed area ringed with burnt orange plastic, and it has its own LEDs, so it glows like Iron Man's arc reactor. It isn't simply a visual touch, however. The round entryway ushers air towards the Asus only intake fan, and then into the rest of the PC. The Asus is no less impactful elsewhere. The side panels are decorated with chunky, angled bits of plastic, and the top is covered with a Mayan-inspired pattern that's used across the entire ROG range. The machine slants all the way down its 584mm depth, and it's 587mm tall. Build quality is exceptional. The plastic and metal used to construct the GT51CH is rock solid, from the metal frame to the plastic that makes up the front and roof panels. The sides are thick, and the window is made from sturdy perspex. The side panels can only be removed with 3 conventional screws, which is trickier than using thumb screws or handles. That's irritating, and the interior continues to annoy. For starters, the metal inside isn't painted black, it's just left unfinished. And there's plenty of it, too. A huge, chunky cage to hold hard disks sits on top of a metal and plastic construction to aid airflow, and the skeleton around the outside is unusually thick. There's no shroud across the power supply area, and the power supply itself unleashes ugly cables across the rig. Some are covered with black netting while others are just multicolored. The 2 graphics cards are hidden behind unsightly metal bars, and the hard disk bays are filled with underwhelming, tool-free bays made of plastic. There are 4 of those hard disk bays free, an empty M.2 connector at the bottom of the motherboard and 2 vacant memory slots, but that's it for expansion. The empty PCI slots are virtually impossible to reach, and there aren't any other spare connectors. It's possible to upgrade the storage and memory without voiding the warranty, but that's it. The situation isn't much better when it comes to overclocking. You can tweak the CPU using Asus pre-installed Aegis 3 app, but any other alterations to the CPU or graphics card are barred. The Asus' biggest mainstream rival is the Alienware Aura. It looks similarly outlandish, and it's smaller than the Asus, just 472mm tall and 360mm deep, and therefore easier to accommodate. The Alienware looks smarter and more subtle than the Asus, but the interior is necessarily more cramped. Despite that, clever design means the Alienware still has as much upgrade potential as the Asus. Of course, the Asus isn't only rivaled by high street names. The British PC industry provides numerous challengers. Companies such as Scan, Chillblast, CyberPower and PC Specialist sell systems with this sort of specification for hundreds of pounds less, or it's possible to get even more bang for your buck at the Asus price. Scan's 3XS Carbonara, for instance, costs £2,750 and includes an overclocked GTX 1080 Ti, an overclocked 8-core Intel Skylake X processor, faster memory, similar storage and a fully featured motherboard, and those components are packed into a smarter, more versatile case and protected with a superior 3-year warranty. Asus Republic of Gamers GT51CH, Performance. The Asus key hardware is a pair of GTX 1070 cards. They use NVIDIA's Pascal architecture, which offers improved efficiency and performance, and each chip wields 1920 stream processors and 8 GB of memory, so there are some formidable numbers when the 2 cards are combined. The GPUs used here only run at their stock speeds, though, which means the base and boost clocks sit at 1506 MHz and 1683 MHz. That's a tad disappointing when Asus produces so many exciting, overclocked cards under the ROG name. They're not the best looking GPUs, they're modeled on Nvidia's Middle Founders Edition cards, but without many of the visual flourishes. The two GTX 1070s have enough power to play any game at any resolution. I tested the Asus with 6 games at their highest settings and at 4K, and the weakest average was a 51 FPS result in Fallout 4, and its best was a 91 FPS pace in Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. That's great, but those results come with caveats. The first is the Nvidia GeForce GTX 1080 which is found inside most rival systems at similar prices, including the Alienware when it's priced up to around £2,500 with every other component matching the Asus specification. The GTX 1080 offers comparable pace to the two GTX 1070s. Take the Scan 3 XS Carbonara, which I mentioned earlier. It was faster in Battlefield 1's 4K benchmark by 17 frames, a single frame faster in Shadow of Mordor and Witcher 3, and only a handful of frames behind in